Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's write some more code fit today. So today we've got question 2966. This is today's daily. Divide array into arrays with max difference. So we're given an array of numbers. We want to divide it into arrays of size 3. That's important. That satisfy the conditions. These conditions have to be met. The difference between two elements in the array has to be less than or equal to this integer k they give us. And each element in the array needs to be accounted for. I'm going to cover two approaches in this video. One is a little more brute forcey, I think, and the other is a little more clever, although I think they end up having the same time and space complexities. But I'll tell you right now, it's going to be really useful to sort our input in this problem. So this is how it's given to us for this first example here. And this is what it looks like sorted. And as you can see, once it's sorted, I mean, if you compare this to the answer, it's really just the same thing, just cut up into buckets of 3. So if I get a new color here, you can see one bucket, another group of 3 there. So once I spelled it out like that, this intuition kind of came to me where, I mean, we can just simulate that with code, right? So how do we check these buckets, or how do we kind of verify that this will work? Well, we go back to our conditions. The main condition being the difference between two elements in one array is less than or equal to k. So how can we check, within a group of 3, how can we check that this principle is satisfied for all the numbers? Well, we really only need to check this first number and this against this last number. Because remember, since it's sorted, this is going to be the biggest range within this mini list of 3. So we can just take, for this one, we can just take 3 minus 1 is equal to 2, which is less than or equal to k. So this one's good. 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. 9 minus 7 is equal to 2. So since these all pass that requirement, this answer is valid. In the constraints, it already tells us that the array is going to have a length that's divisible by 3. So we don't need to check that we can make groups of 3. We can just kind of automatically assume they exist and then check from there. That's kind of the intuition here, not coming up with the answer ourselves, but rather finding an answer that already exists and then checking to see that it works. So like I said, this is the more clever solution, and after we code this one up, I'll just code up the more brute force one where we still sort it and then we make the list and kind of check it as we go. But I think once you figure this one out and grok it, you don't want to go back. So let's go ahead and jump into the code. Like I said before, the first thing we're going to want to do is just sort the list. Once we have that, we need to make an answer array, because we are still going to need to fill it out, because we still have to go from an array of all numbers to a 2-dimensional array. So the main part of this problem is our for loop. We're going to want to get every index, and we're going to want to start from 2 and go all the way to the length of the list in increments of 3. So what'll this get us? This will get us 2, this will get us 5, this will get us 8, and so on. So going for our first example, this gets us the number 3, the number 5, and the number 9, once the list is sorted, of course. So since we already know, since this is really helpful and is a multiple of 3, we already know that going 2 indexes before I is always going to exist. So here we can just check if nums of I minus nums of I minus 2. So for this first example, we're at 2, we're going minus 2, 1, 2 to check 1. So this is nums of 2 minus nums of 0 is greater than k, or let's say less than or equal to k. Then go ahead and actually no, let's do greater than k. Then we know that it's just not going to work out no matter what, because we've sorted the list greater than k. So from this point on, the list won't work, and we're just going to return what they want us to return, which is a blank array. Otherwise, if that's not the case, if they are within k, we can go ahead and take this chunk of 3 and put it in our answer. So we'll go ahead and store it in another variable. Current chunk equals an array of nums I minus 2 to get the first one, nums I minus 1, and nums of just I. And then we can append that current chunk to our answer. And if it goes through the whole loop without hitting this if statement, we can just return our answer. Let's run our code. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. It accepts. Let's hit submit. And it works with pretty good time and space complexity. Yeah, the time complexity because of the sort is n log n, and the space complexity is just n, which it kind of has to be because we're returning an answer that's going to have all the numbers that we originally have anyway. Okay, so as promised, I'll do this brute force solution for you guys. So we start off by sorting the input array like we did before. This time we're gonna keep track of the current bucket we're in. So we're gonna start with an answer like we did before, which is just gonna be a list. And we're gonna keep this index of current bucket. So bear with me here. We're gonna take for I in range. We're gonna take for I in range of the entire array, not jumping by 3 this time. We're gonna start with sort of an edge case, which is this first number. If I is equal to 0, we just want to append a list of just nums I to the answer. Because from this point on, we're going to be checking the beginning of each chunk of 3, kind of like we did before. So something has to exist for this first one. And we want to make sure to just continue on after this. Anyways, after that, we want to check if after that, we're just going to store the current num in a variable right now, just to make it a little easier. We're not calculating it every time. This is just for code cleanliness. And then we want to check if this current number jives with the whatever bucket it's in. Actually, scratch that. We want to check if we should make a new bucket or not. So if answer current bucket, if the length of that is 3, then we're full and we want to make a new one. Go ahead and increase our index and just make answer.append, just like we did with number, the number 0 or the 0 with index 1. We just want to start a new bucket with the current number at the beginning. Obviously, we'd like to not have this here, but it won't check this if statement because there's nothing in the answer, right? So we kind of need this here. Otherwise, if the bucket is not full, then here is where we want to check it against other numbers in the bucket. And if we try and check it between just any number in the bucket, it actually there's some edge errors. So like for example, think of some hypothetical bucket 2, 3, and 5. If you check any number against the one next to it, like 2 and 3, and this is with k equals 2 still, 2 minus 3 minus 2 is 1, 5 minus 3 is 2. So it is less than or equal to k in both cases, but 5 minus 2 is not. So like we did in that last solution, we want to check both of these numbers against the smallest number in the bucket, which is going to be the first one. So anyway, we want current number minus answer current bucket at 0. If that's greater than k, go ahead and return the blank array. We know nothing's going to work. Otherwise, go ahead and admit our current number into the current bucket. So I feel like I'm forgetting something, but let's just run this anyway. No, I don't think I am. Let's submit it. Yeah, so if you can't tell from my attitude, once I got that, that first solution we covered, I didn't want to go back and write this one again. This is something along the lines of what I did when I first solved this problem. So anyway, I think that first solution is a little more elegant, but this one gets the job done and just shows you there's more than one way to approach it. Anyway, I hope this was helpful for solving the daily, and I'll see you in the next one.